Okay, welcome everybody. We're here at the I Refuse to Fail 1530 events, and today's topic that we're going to be discussing is going to be about communication. What do you use? How do you use it? Do you think it's important to respond quickly to communications? How do you handle that? I personally sometimes it amazes me that I might even want to purchase something and I'll contact a company and it's like days before they get back. I mean, if somebody wants to buy something from me, the ink doesn't dry on my computer screen before I'm getting back to them because, you don't want people not to get back to you. So I'd just like to understand, maybe what things are you using, or is email dead? Are you not using email? How do you respond and the like? So if anybody would like to comment on that, I'd appreciate you raising your hand, and you can unmute, and then I will call on you. So who do we have out there that wants to respond on this? Santa.
You know, Communication is key, Carl. I mean, it's like someone walking into the store of a business store, looking around and then walking out. Well, why are they there? They must have had a reason to go there. They must have been looking for something. That's the same as sending an email or following up on a wonderful meeting like this, Carl, where we meet, Carolyn and Rob and Mark. But geez, I didn't hear Mark's presentation. What does Mark do? But Mark's reached out and said, hey, let's have a conversation. But I don't know who Mark is. That's the importance of doing a follow up. And I stress on my videos every now and then. I will do a whole day where I send a video out, once a day about the importance of this. Follow up is key to a one on one because it's great to plant the seed on how to help people do this, that, or everything else. But if you don't follow up and continue the relationship, you might as well be throwing your time at a brick wall.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the other aspect of that is, following up on what you're talking about with the networking aspect, is a lot of times people will have a one-to-one with somebody. And then even though they like the person, it's kind of like, well, I'm on to the next one. And, it's like they're fishing all the time instead of actually trying to build a relationship. And you can't do that unless you're communicating. And
Absolutely.
to be honest with you, that's why we formed the partnership, because we've got a group of people that we all know each other. We know what we do, so you become top of mind. And you can't do that without communication. So I think communication is a powerful tool in your business if you really want to succeed. If you don't want to succeed, well then, I mean, like I've said before, a blind squirrel gets a nut once in a while, and I guess you can do it that way, but I don't think it's a smart way of doing business. I think, especially if you belong to a group or an association, for heaven's sakes, you need to get to know and respond to the people who are contacting you. So who else? Anybody else in the room like to respond? Diane?
Communication is personal, is what I'm learning. It's very personal. No, I don't believe that email is dead, but some people prefer text. They carry their phone around with them constantly. They're rarely in front of their computer. They don't get their emails on their phone and they prefer text. Somebody else prefers WhatsApp because that's where they have steered all of their clientele is to WhatsApp. Somebody else prefers a different app. For me, it's a little challenging to have everybody's preferred media and not my preferred, but it's really, I think, very valuable to meet people where they are, not only in forms of their current health situation, but in how they want to communicate to me about those things.
That's
I
that's
always
a
ask.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's so many different ways to communicate now that everybody's getting their own preferred method, but that could be to their detriment. So I really think, and I think that's okay. But I think when you meet somebody, I think they need to let you know, if you're going to communicate with me, this is how I do it, so that people know how to do it. Otherwise, like I'm old school. I still use email. All right. And but if somebody else prefers something else, if I really want to get a hold of them, I want to get a hold of them. I don't want to send them an email if they say, well, yeah, there's another one from Carl. I'm just, I'm going to blow that off. So no, I agree with you. I think I think people need to be more diverse with accepting different ways of communicating, I personally. Okay, Mark?
Yeah, so along the lines of what Diane just mentioned, a lot of people are using a lot of different communication tools. So I think within each, especially with a small business, you really need to dedicate certain time of your day to do those follow-ups, whether or not it's in email, text messages, Slack messages, whatever program you're using, WhatsApp. You need to dedicate a certain hour, maybe in the beginning of the day, and then maybe towards the end of the day, later in the afternoon. Or have someone on your team that you can delegate that kind of responsibility to. The other thing you can integrate into your company too are automatic workflows, whether or not you use particular CRM or something like that. If someone fills out a form, you should have an auto response come back to them, maybe even with a scheduling link that's integrated into that email so that they can book a meeting directly from there or from your website. Same thing with the chat software that you can utilize out there. You can use AI to even answer questions on what type of, if someone asks a question in that chat, it can automatically respond with a certain response. And then maybe even a meeting link or ask for their contact information through there as well. We utilize that a lot with SaaS products that we license out. So you can get a lot of canned messages and things like that through there. So I think you really need to look at the tools that you're going to utilize within your business and then leverage the technology that's behind them to help you work a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah, those are all good points. And I really like the idea of blocking the time. I'm on my computer all day long, so I basically am checking my email all day long. I check my chats 4 or 5 times a day, but or my text, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, that's I think blocking it out, if you're really busy, especially, it's just part of time management. It's good to kind of block out that time. So good comment. Jeff?
Thanks, Carl. I may be sounding like the old guy in the room, but I really like voice communication. I don't think there's anybody in this whole group who hasn't gotten in trouble by sending a text that got misunderstood, sending an email that was misunderstood. And gosh, I'd like to see some grammar in some text. I'm just weird that way. This send all the words with no question marks, no periods, no commas, no get out of my yard. Anyway, I like phone calls. My business is geared on phone calls, and I like it that way because my dad said I got a great face for radio. Anyway, I enjoy the actual conversation with people. I think it's important that if you're going to do text, you're going to do emails, WhatsApp, all that stuff. I think it should go toward a face-to-face conversation or a live conversation, if not face-to-face.
I agree with you totally. I like that too. Usually if I am going to email somebody and it has to do with more than hi, how are you or whatever, I usually ask them to do a Zoom call or a phone call because I want to talk to them, because you are so right. Sometimes you can say something that people misunderstand what you're saying. They might be insulted and you didn't mean to insult them. I mean, the communication, sometimes there's a loss in communication. And I really agree with you more than maybe most people would. I know that it seems more efficient to do it the other way, but is it as effective, And I really like the idea of talking to someone.
For short conversations, it's great, but to build a relationship, it just doesn't work very well. I'm 100% into the phone, the real live conversation, because the other thing that Zoom does for you is it helps you realize if somebody's actually paying attention to you as well.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. Okay, Bill.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, this is my favorite topic, but I think the 3 R's aren't reading, writing, and arithmetic. They're being regular in your contacts, relevant in your contacts, and respectful in your contacts with people, which means don't make it about you. Make it about the person you're trying to connect with, because otherwise, we've got enough bloated individuals who want to say, hey, let me just tell you about what I've got going here. And it's like, yeah, no, let's not. And we'll just move on. So those are 3 things. And when I ask people, because I used to be a duct tape marketing consultant, Well, if you know that keeping in touch and staying top of mind is good, why aren't you doing it? The big issues I found were no time, no money, no skills, no staff, and no system. If you need to have a system, I can definitely help give you some guidance in where to go and find that. But once you automate it, once you delegate it, you get it done. And once it starts being done, you start seeing the results. And I would urge anyone seeking to do more with this area of opportunity to get in touch, and I'll have a nice friendly call. No buying, no selling, just guidance. And I'd love to do it anytime you like.
Okay, yeah, and and Bill is not only one of the I Refuse to Fail partners, but Bill is a friend as a result of being an I Refuse to Fail partner. And when
Still good. Oh,
I
that's good to know. Thank
I'm
you.
amazed, right? So no, I can't believe it. But anyway, no, I mean I just called and left Bill a message on his phone, and because I want to talk to him, I don't want to go back in a text or whatever, how are you doing, that kind of thing. And I think that the verbal and even better if you can do a face to face. Thank goodness for platforms like Zoom and things like that. I think that's even better. But anyway, I think communication is really important, and I think a lot of times people disregard the importance of it because they don't respond. They don't, even if it's somebody that and you say, oh, well, okay, that's just something else from Carl. I'm not going to respond to it. How do you know I'm not sending you something different unless you open it up? You have no idea, right? So I open all of them, even if it's from somebody that I get regular information from. I open it at least. Maybe I'm not going to respond if it's the same stuff, but at least I take a look at it. And I think it's a courtesy. If somebody has is going to take the time to send you something, you ought to have at least take 15 seconds to check it out. Bill?
Yeah, there was one last little quote I'd throw in. There was a book written in the 80s by a guy named Mark McCormick, who was a pretty famous sports attorney. And it was called What They Won't Teach You or What They Don't Teach You in Harvard Business School. And one of his great quotes in there was, all things being equal, people tend to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And then he added the corollary, which is all things being unequal, people still tend to do business with people they know, like, and trust. So trust is the ultimate outcome. You got to know people to be able to get to have enough trust in them to find that when the time comes, you'll go to them rather than a competitor to take care of whatever your needs are or refer them to someone who needs some help. So working through that process is a very important key that many people don't quite always grasp. But once you do and you practice it, turns out to be a magical solution for a lot of problems that many people have.
Okay, great, Bill. Thanks. Louise?
Yeah, and a lot of people were talking about communicating with people that you've just met, that you want to build a relationship, but it's very important to communicate with your actual clients. I have lost clients because they felt we weren't communicating enough with them. So
Yeah, that's a good point, Louise. That's the other thing. People are, it's kind of like I said before, people out fishing for new fish all the time. If you've got a warm market of people that have already done business with you, know, like, and trust you, you need to stay in contact with them as often as possible, because you can't get a better referral than from somebody that knows you. Somebody that already trusts what you do. And so you can work that. I don't mean work it as you using people, but actually honestly wanting to communicate with those people so that they want to help you. And so if you leave them alone, you'll try to find them a year from now and you'll find they're gone. So, I mean, why would you want to do that? It's so much easier to work with. And that's why we even created our partnership, for heaven's sakes, is because we want a group of people that are staying and communicating with each other on a constant basis. Carolyn?
Do this without coughing. So I noticed that Rob and Bill have phone numbers on your background, where some of us have, our digital business cards or websites. How's that working for you? Are you finding that people will go ahead and call and reach out to you first because, they'll communicate with you first because you put your phone number on your background?
I'm not sure I'm understanding exactly what the question is.
So communication, right? So if someone's going to communicate with you, do they sometimes initiate it? And if they're initiating it, how did that start?
Oh, okay. Anybody else want to comment on that? Bill?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I have it because number one, I'm an old fart and I tend to like picking up the phone and talking to people. It doesn't bother me and hopefully it doesn't bother others. I find it works better with older, more mature audiences than younger who are much more into the digital. But I look at it this way. I do it because I want to give the shortest distance between you and me that I can. And if somebody goes, hey, geez, I got a question. I was wondering how that thing is. Santa, give me a call for God's sakes. All right. Trying to get in a hold of you and I don't know how to find you. But if you pick up that phone and you call that number, we'll be in Congress before too long. And I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about the real Congress of business that we need to be doing on a regular basis.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. Another aspect of that is when you meet people, everybody in the room here probably has a little bit different personality. And some people don't have that forward thinking personality that I'm going to reach out. I really would like to speak with Carl, but I'm a little timid. Okay. So they won't reach out. And when I find those people, if I'm reading their personality right, I try myself to reach out to them because, I think they might want to communicate, but they just haven't gone forward to do that, And of course, I always try to put as much information in my background and everything else so people can reach me, as easily as possible. But I don't know if we fully answered your question, Carolyn, but did that do it? Okay. All right, good.
Yes,
Okay.
and there's something too that treat people from the 1900s like it's, call them on the phone. It's okay. We don't mind.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think we've pretty much covered everything we can about communication today. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this. If anybody out there that has seen this and kind of enjoyed it, hopefully, and you'd like to participate in one of our conversations, you can go to irefusetofail.com, request an invitation. We'll send you an invitation to come. It's absolutely free. We just trying to help people here and communicate and and network and get to know everybody. So I'm going to stop the recording, and so you might see this anywhere. You may see it on the Connections Directory, our YouTube channel, or you might see it on somebody's LinkedIn page. So I appreciate everybody participating today, and so we're going to stop the recording.
Let me jump in there for a second, Carl.